Manga spines are a pretty underrated facet to the whole manga collecting experience. Like, they're what you're going to be looking at for a good 99.9% of the time. Sometimes 100. Yeah, I'm not gonna read this. I'm now past the point of having a subtle interest that can casually come up in conversation, and have entered the realm of, yeah, it's a lot. No, none of them are corn. With all this combined, you can understand why it's important to me that the spines of the series that I own are looking good. And also don't feature any corn. JoJo! If you own the most recently released JoJoniums, you know what I'm about to say.
I like them.
Part 1, 2, and 3 look good and have an incredibly legible design that lets people who've never even heard of easily notice it on a shelf. It pops, kind of similar to the series itself. Ooh, that's good. Also, because each part is colored differently, it's simple to separate them, and almost serves as a pseudo-timeline of the events that happen. They're great, so where's part 4 then? I haven't bought any of part 4 yet. Why? Because my expectations of what the spines would look like were shattered by reality. Turns out the first 3 parts were re-released in Japan under the name JoJonium editions, and these designs carried over into the English re-releases. When it came time to produce the 4th part in English, there was no part 4 JoJonium edition to go off of, and so Viz took the design in their own different direction. Part 4's spine is by no means bad in any way, but because it really throws off the consistency in design across the whole series, I'm hesitant to make such a big purchase. Look, maybe when part 5 and 6 are released, they will have a similar spine design and I'll be all on board for part 4 to 6, but for now, the difference is enough to persuade me from buying the only part in the series I actually haven't read yet. This is a prime example of consistency within spine design. When you start a trend, you finish it! But can consistency go too far? Yeah. Attack on Titan, Berserk, and Full Metal Alchemist are all top-rated series that all carry a similar spine design philosophy. Earthy tone, don't change it. In the case of Berserk and Attack on Titan, the style fits with the more serious, gritty, seinen nature of the series. Seinen? Seinen? On the other hand, Full Metal Alchemist is sometimes a jaunty and fun adventure, and yeah, it's serious sometimes. But the vast majority of the story doesn't necessarily resemble the samey, darker spine design. This was luckily fixed in the Full Metal edition, currently being released. The white nothingness of this place combined with the shiny dark tones of color perfectly encapsulate Full Metal Alchemist to me. Speaking about it, color! An essential aspect of manga. Spines. Golden Kamui tells us to not take the story so seriously. My Hero Academia tells us the story had no idea where it was going. And Lovecom tells us it's a shoujo manga? I don't know, that's a thing I guess. Sometimes it's good to vary up the colors. You can get some unique and fun combinations. It can also help the series or volume stand out amongst the rest. But sometimes just keeping to a single color scheme can do you good in the long run. If Naruto wasn't already big enough, it's also pretty much got its own distinct color scheme on lock. As soon as you see the white background with orange text, you can immediately understand, let me just check the graphs here, yup, that's Naruto. And when Shippuden rolls around, the white background is replaced with black. Like JoJo, it's easy to distinguish the parts of Naruto, but there's more, because it also fits the story thematically. The childlike wonder and exploration of the ninja world in the first 27 volumes is absent from the darker and more confrontation-oriented Naruto Shippuden. And now circling back to My Hero Academia, to me, the colors started off pretty strong, with a good resemblance to that of Western comic book hero color schemes. But the volumes that follow are, Alright, here we go. We got white, purple, red, another white, blue, red again, peach, white. What is happening? And to aggravate only further, the text logo is yellow. Most of the time, its colors are sporadic and it feels like there's no pattern or rule associated for an all-around shelf look. On this white background, the logo is yellow, but on this white background, the logo is white. Why? What is the purpose of this? My theory, the covers of the series came first, and the spines were an afterthought. And to be fair, the covers are what is going to sell the volume. And My Hero has some pretty rad covers actually, but that's a different video. Another example, Princess Jellyfish starts off pretty dang strong with a nice pink color followed by a baby blue. It's very indicative of how the role of gender plays into the story. Then we get a light green and a purple and a pink. Similar to My Hero, the colors begin to feel like they weren't chosen with an all-around look in mind, but there's actually an explanation for this. Because of the format in which Kondasha Comics released these, by combining 2 volumes into one, we miss out on the even-numbered colors, which by this rough design I made looks pretty damn good, I'd say. It's got good variation. Yeah, Naruto is consistent, and that simple consistency leads its books to oddly enough stand out even more, but it may just be too consistent. The variation among the spine's thumbnails, I don't know what to call them, is lacking. Naruto is on the front of a good majority of them, making an expression of some sort. It's hard to tell which volume features what. Besides One Piece's zany color design and combinations, the thumbnails are emblematic to that of what happens in the volume. Here's an example. If I need a reference photo of Nico Robin's backstory, I know where to look. It also definitely helps that the story arc featured in the volume is listed right on the spine there. I actually love this, and while I was reading One Piece, it was exciting to look ahead and think of that one arc that I've heard so much about is only so many volumes away. I'm so goddamn close. Oh my god. One Piece is a massive series, and I don't always have the gall or the time to reread the whole thing, so having these aspects present on the spine makes wanting to reread only certain parts of the series incredibly convenient. Okay, so we have our 3 Seymour manga spine graphic design criteria. Let's talk about the series that really managed to get the spine design right. Real is real simplistic, yet good. The all-around dark tone with the shimmer of color is just what Real is about, making the best of a bad situation. It's consistent, legible, and the variation of colors used is well-rounded. It's simplistic as heck, but subtly amazing. Vagabond. Having red be monotoned here just amplifies the series' emphasis on blood, killing, and just normal samurai stuff. Very similar to Rurouni Kenshin, where Rurouni Kenshin fails though is that it doesn't have this kick-ass connected drawing of all the characters striking rad poses, illustrated by Takahiko Inoue. Arguably manga's best artist in the game. It's satisfying to get a new volume and connect the picture and see how it moves on. Now let's talk about my favorite of all. You guys know what the heck it is. It's Goodnight Goddamn Punpun. It's got this super minimalistic look with all the information you need to know right on the side in a stylish but subtle format. As we move along, the colors are consistently vibrant and you can see all the information is moving downward like a staircase. And as just the cherry on top, we can see that our little main character Punpun is actually forming as the books go along. It's genius. When I first bought these as they were coming out way back in the year of 2016, after placing the second volume beside the first, my mind was blown. I saw the patterns start to form and was so damn excited to see all the books sit beside each other on my shelf eventually. And then the 6th volume came out and the pattern that I'd been so excited about before was lost in this black void. I really hated the aspect of the spines for a while, resenting the 6th volume for ruining what I saw as the perfect spine design. But it makes sense. Nothing is ever perfect, and things don't always work out the way you want them to. And no other book explores these themes more than Goodnight Punpun. What was once a cheerful and vibrant color combination is now a dark, depressing void, where our little guy Punpun is no longer even himself, but just a microcosm of his environment. And then finally, in Volume 7, there's a tiny bit of Punpun sticking out, reaching out from the darkness upon a white backdrop, making him more prominent than ever, saying that the past is in the past, and he can move on, one tiny step at a time. And see, this is what a good spine design can do. It can go past just being an afterthought or a collection of colors and information. Instead, it can become a symbolic representation of the series, an ode to an amazing journey, or a thoughtful story, or corn. There are many more series that have good and bad spines, and I've noticed an up in quality of the spines in the last couple of years, which makes me excited to see what's to come. Deluxe edition spines are making manga look grander than ever, and some one-off series are incredibly eye-catching. Viz and Shonen Jump also recently changed their logos what the fuck? Which is a pain in the ass most of the time, to be honest, but the change does look a lot slicker, and will pay off in the future. I'm actually waiting on a response while writing this video for all of Blade of the Immortal Omnibus, and I'm really excited about placing those on my shelf as well. So let me know what spines I may have not covered or whether they are good or bad in your eyes. It's an aspect of manga that isn't really covered a lot or even really shown off, so I'd love to hear some more about them.
Slim Dugger. Drank by the paint, drove by the pine. Headed to the club in the boss top dime. Slim Thug bout to climb, represent H-time. If you love me, you gon' smile. If you hate me, you gon' grind. I won't stall, Slim Thugger won't lie. On a hunt and up, guess what I just found? Come as VIP with me, we post up. What? We blow blowing purple stuff, pouring purple stuff. We glowing from this stuff, you can tell if we rich. When I hit the club, all the girls show me love. Wine at the bar, got drink,